What's up, guys? Welcome back to another channel of Distraction Garage. In this episode, we're going to go through the process of changing out intercoolers, also moving some radiator fans around, and as well as taking off the spindles to get ready for some 36mm hubs. But before we get into that, make sure you guys hit that like, hit that subscribe button, give me a thumbs up, give me a comment, give me a follow on Instagram at Distraction Garage, and hit that notification icon. That way you can be notified when any video comes out. In this episode, we have a beautiful KLM 4-inch dual backdoor intercooler that we're going to be installing, replacing my old intercooler, which was really big and bulky, and I want to put a stock front end back on the car. So this dual backdoor intercooler should do the trick, so I can go ahead and put a stock front bumper back on the car, get that painted, and make the car look more sleek, more of a sleeper, I'd say. But anywho, it's just little things that I want to change on the car ever since I've gone all-wheel drive to make it a little bit more drivable, a little bit more fun on the street. No more need for that wide front end that I used to have when I was front-wheel drive running slicks. So now with the R888s, I think we're good to go. So enough said, let's get started on swapping this out. Alright guys, so the first thing that I'm going to do is we're going to go ahead and replace these two Spall fans. These are two 9-inch Spall push fans, and the idea behind these is to kind of keep everything nice and tucked. That way you don't see the fans, you only see a little bit of the radiator inside of the engine bay. But because I'm going to a thicker intercooler core, I kind of want to push everything back as far as I can. So I'm going to replace these two Spall fans with the same type of fans, but instead of being a push fan, it's going to be a pull fan. I'm going to go ahead and install those inside of the engine bay area, so it will be a little bit closer to the intake manifold and some of the charge pipes. So I am going to work a little bit to get that to fit just right, and get all that fixed and figured out. So here we go. Alright guys, so I don't know if you guys noticed, but I have my overflow reservoir tank right there for the coolant overflow, and with the placement of the fans currently, I'm going to try to use the same holes. I may have to take that out and put it over on this side here, so I'm going to start doing that and make some space for the fans, and hopefully I will clear everything in this section here, which is my biggest worry, but I think I should be fine. There's about 4 inches or so open there, and those fans are about 2 inches to 2.5 inch thick, so I think we should be good to go. So let's move on to that. Alright guys, so now that I look at it, if you guys can see here, I won't be able to put the little, whatever that piece right there is called, on there. So since I'm not using this little piece of the part of the core support, I'm just gonna Dremel it out. So I'm gonna cut up there and get it completely out of the way because I won't need it anymore. And it also should give me some more clearance for the intercooler to bump up against the radiator. So let's go ahead and do that. there goes that. So that is completely out. Now we have some clearance. All right, so now as you guys can see, let me get the, there's the light. So as you guys can see, now we are clear all the way on the front of the core support and good to go. Now let's install the next fan and put it in the same spot and then relocate the reservoir, possibly to right there. So let's keep going. All right, so now that we got the fans all mounted, as you guys can see, these fans are nice and mounted, and they clear just a little bit right there. There's, they're literally perfect in that little section there. So that's good to go. Fans are mounted. Now to the fun part. Let's go ahead and start. Oh, let me move this camera around here. Let's go ahead and start and trying to mock up the intercooler, and hopefully I don't have to cut any intercooler pipes or charge pipes, but most likely I'm gonna have to because I'm pushing everything in about 2 to 3 inches, maybe about 4 inches, and that would give me enough clearance to put a stock front bumper and keep it with minimal cutting to the stock front bumper and give it that OEM street sleeper look that I'm looking for. So let's get to it. All right guys, so this actually doesn't look that bad, but I still have about 2 to 3 inches in between the radiator and the intercooler, and really what's stopping me right now to get it all pushed as far in is these intercooler pipes. So I'm gonna go ahead and replace these, or at least remove these for now, until I get a good sense of where I want the intercooler to be mounted. And once that's mounted, and I'm most likely gonna have to drill some holes in my core support. I have been looking at getting the core support, what is it, the like the little tubing, the aftermarket core supports that they make for the drag cars, and possibly getting one of those in the future. So if you guys know anyone that makes them, tell them to check out this video, and hopefully we can do some work. So let's take these charge pipes off, both sides, and I'm gonna see how far I can get this intercooler to go up against the radiator, and then I will try to put something underneath it to hold it up, and possibly go ahead and sit the bumper on top and see how all that fits together. So let's get to it. All right, so now that I got that off, I should be able to put this intercooler as far forward or back as I can. So let's try that now. Already this looks like it's gonna fit way better. Clearly because, well, the old radiator or intercooler stuck out a little bit further out here. So it stuck out about an inch or so because of how it was mounted so far forward. So this kind of helps out a lot because it's not, you know, it's all behind the stock sections. Now, what's really holding me back at this point is the radiator has two little tabs that go out, so you can, I'm guessing, bolt a shroud up to it. But I don't have a shroud, so I'm not going to do that. But that, I mean, already I'm saving about 2 to 3 inches in general going back further. So I might cut those little shrouds there, and then clearance some of the core support here to be able to go as far back as I can, and then that way, because right now the holes will line up pretty much right here. So in order to do that, I'd have to cut a perfect square out, make it look somewhat decent, and that's going to be pretty difficult to do, to, you know, make it look okay, but we'll figure something out here, and we'll see what happens. So let me try to cut that off and keep going. Battery's dead. As you guys saw, the battery on my Dremel died completely, and now it's not wanting to charge. So in order to get this project moving a little bit quicker, I grabbed handy dandy Sawzall, and I was able to cut the nubs that were on the radiator just enough that I can get the intercooler pushed back as far as I can. So it is pretty much flush, if not actually a little bit further back than the edge of the core support. So that is good news. I know based on the last time that I had a B-series on a car and a stock front bumper, I had to trim the bottom of the front bumper. So I went ahead and did that off camera a couple days back because I knew I was gonna have to cut it anyways. So that is done. Now I think it's just a little bit of the trimming on the bottom, but the main thing here is now I have to drill a hole the whole way up through my core support to be able to put the bolts in to hold the intercooler up. Once the intercooler is up, then I can put the front bumper, which is back here, if you guys can see in the background, and start getting that mounted to get it to fit. Now the big thing here is the intercooler piping will need to be cut and modified slightly. So I'm gonna, once the intercooler is mounted, I'm gonna see where we need to cut, where we need to make the adjustments, and I'm gonna have Justin over at Hub City weld that up for me after I cut it. And I think we should be good to go from that point on and get a stock front bumper on the car, hopefully in time for the airport race. If we can't get it done by the airport race, then I'm gonna put the old intercooler back on it, do the race, get you guys some crazy footage, and then we will move on to making the modifications. So hopefully we can get this all figured out today, if not tomorrow, and keep it moving. So let's see what we got to do. All right, guys. So I managed to make some holes after I got the hole saw. So there are new holes. As you can see, I kind of messed up a little bit, but I will show you where I did mess up. So this hole would work perfectly fine right there. But when I went over to Hub City, they said, Justin told me that if I put the intercooler too close to the radiator, then I'm just going to heat soak the system, and I'm just going to get a lot of hot air coming through my intake. So I pulled the intercooler forward some, drilled some new holes right there. They don't look the best, but it will work. So now I'm going to go and start installing this thing. It's actually not that bad. It went up a decent amount. As high as I really want it to be right now. But that will work perfect because there is a huge gap underneath the intercooler and the radiator, which is what I want in there. I don't think I might have to do much adjusting here other than possibly put a tab to hold this down. So like weld something and kind of put a little bracket here, bolt it straight down there. But let's see how the front bumper fits. And I know we will have to cut some things, but at least I don't think we're gonna have to cut a lot. All right, so, all right, no, we do have to cut a lot. I'm gonna have to cut a good amount on the sides here. So if you guys can see, let me give you some light here. So so when I go to mount the front bumper, it is hitting down in this bottom corner right there. So I will have to shave that off some and do the same on the opposite side. I'm going to try to keep this front grille as much as I can. Literally going to take my my Dremel and just cut away, but I'm really not worried about the front bumper as of yet. I want to see where my charge pipes sit and what I need to do to modify this intercooler, or at least the charge pipes. So that is where we are.